There's something new in town, the St. Louis Media Halls of Fame, which honors people from newspapers, radio, and television. We like this story because it allowed us to go back into the archives. Now, we can show a clip of an old Charlotte Peters show, as well as a rare black and white film with a conversation between two Pulitzer Prize winners.
Presents the Charlie Atkinson Show.
Louis, Missouri, the Don Chamber program. These are the Marcells.
Previous President Fred Sine.
The St. Louis Media Halls of Fame will look something like this when they're actually installed in the Mercantile Library in late 2006. There will be photos and biographies of the men and women inducted into the halls because of their work in radio, television, and print, all with a St. Louis connection. There are the famous historical names like abolitionist newspaper editor Elijah Lovejoy, run out of St. Louis and then killed by a mob in Alton, Illinois in 1837. And of course Joseph Pulitzer, who came to St. Louis to work in the German language press here, but then went on to help invent modern American journalism as a craft and a business. UMSL Professor Mike Murray thinks that while St. Louisans may know a lot of the names, they may not know just how important a lot of St. Louis's media people have been.
It's a part of our history that doesn't really get told very well. It's sort of a sidebar, and in many instances I think it was a major part of the story.
You're back on Donnybrook on Thursday.
Channel 9 Donnybrook host Martin Duggan has gone into the Hall of Fame for his work on the old Globe Democrat newspaper. And he goes in with another local newspaper man who ended up on Channel 9, Daniel Fitzpatrick. After his retirement in 1958, the Pulitzer Prize-winning editorial cartoonist talked about his work, ranging from the First World War to the Cold War.
Sunrise in Asia, and both the Kremlin and the Capitol in Washington are conscious of that rising sun.
In the final program of the series, Fitzpatrick talked shop with his successor, Bill Malden, who had won a Pulitzer for his Willie and Joe cartoons during World War II, and had just won his second Pulitzer after joining the Post.
I think Bill is getting into his swing now on the editorial job, just as he did on Willie and Joe.
When Malden took over the job at the Post-Dispatch, he knew he had big shoes to fill, and he presented Daniel Fitzpatrick with this drawing.
But I do think it's important, again, to remember that there were some really strong voices here that had a major influence both locally and nationally.
This is KMOX, the voice of St. Louis.
Of course, the truly memorable voices came from St. Louis radio, whose existing Hall of Fame will also move into the Mercantile Library. Its members go back to the early days and the golden age, when radio had live music and drama, and of course, sports.
Here comes the throw. It's going to be close. Then we
There's the classic style of France Lotz, the unforgettable enthusiasm of Harry Carey,
There he goes.
and the class of Jack Buck.
Throw over there, he's safe and beat.
They're all in the St. Louis Radio Hall of Fame, which was founded by radio historian Frank Absher.
There's no shortage of people. The problem is that there is not much knowledge of these people. And back in 2002, when we started the St. Louis Radio Hall of Fame, that was one of the goals, was to bring attention to people whose accomplishments in St. Louis radio meant something, not just to St. Louis, but sometimes also to the rest of the world.
When television started up in St. Louis in 1947, KSD radio personalities were asked to step in front of the camera at KSD TV. The new Television Hall of Fame includes many of those pioneers, like Frank Eschen, as well as those who began to make television more than just radio with pictures, like Channel 4's first news director.
Good evening, Spencer Allen here reporting the 10 o'clock news, brought to you by the distributors of Falstaff Beer, America's choice for lighthearted living.
And of course, no mention of St. Louis television would be complete without the queen of noontime TV, Charlotte Peters, whose career we profiled in the 1995 Channel 9 documentary, City on the Air.
Music surprises, we leave it up to you. Any day
Well, ho, Charlotte.
The late Charlotte Peters was one of the most popular performers ever on St. Louis television, dynamic and volatile on and off the screen. She could belt out a song and would do just about anything for a laugh.
happiness ferry flow. And where I've flown, no one will ever know.
Her career started in the very early days of live television. Singer Russ Severin was producing all kinds of programs on Channel 5 and was always on the lookout for new talent.
I had finished auditioning one Wednesday afternoon, about 5 or 5:30, and in walked this rather attractive young lady who put her purse down. She said, "I'm Charlotte Peters," as though we're supposed to say, "Well, where have you been?"
Severin knew talent when he saw it, and he made Charlotte Peters a regular on his midday program, To the Ladies.
This was every bit live. Nothing. We had nothing to work with. We did have talk-through rehearsals. Maybe a half hour before the show, we'd say, "I want to do this, I want to do that." But when you had people that are spontaneous, and Harry Honig and Charlie Sherwood, the two dialecticians, and then along came Charlotte Peters. And when you got people like that, you can throw the world at them. You could bomb them. You could drop the atom bomb on them, and I think Charlotte would still be standing there. She was just indestructible and probably as clever and as talented as anybody I ever knew.
To the Ladies eventually became Charlotte Peters' own show. John Rodell was the MC. What was she really like to work for?
She was, you could get mad and scream at each other. Half hour later, didn't make any difference.
Charlotte had a temper that could put you to, she could frighten you to death. And she sounded off because of it. But that was what made Charlotte.
What a joy having you. Aren't you adorable? What are you all sitting here posing for?
Charlotte Peters and her show moved to KTVI in 1964, and when it went off the air in 1970, it was one of the last variety shows on local TV anywhere in the country. The St. Louis Media Halls of Fame will continue to induct new members, print, radio, and television, in the coming years in its new home at the Mercantile Library.